Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How sweet it is, huh? And yet, how often do we really pay attention to our breath? In fact, did you know that your lifespan is determined by how you breathe? Or how much oxygen you can take into your body. This is because the oxygen is the food that feeds your cells. So it's so important to breathe deeply, regularly. And yet, how many of us, just out of curiosity, just for a raise of hands, how many people do breathing exercises or breath work daily? Okay, good. Yeah, and that's really good. So probably a lot of this will be a refresher to you, but I think it's really important that we talk about this and we bring this up occasionally just to revisit things and to realize that the power of the breath is there. And yet, so often I hear when I talk to people about it, they're like, why do I need to worry about breathing? I just breathe. I'm not dead, so I'm breathing, right? And really, we do have to take that extra step in breathing. But so often people are just stingy with how they breathe. They're just breathing shallow. In fact, Hamid Bey even says that every emotion has a different type of breath. And so if you come into and when you think about this, what happens if you get excited, if something scares you, what do? You stop breathing, right? Or different if you're upset about something, or maybe even think about it when you're crying, you're breathing a lot, and so we really need to pay attention to that and pay attention how we breathe, to be aware of it, that when we're stressed, again, we tighten up and we breathe less. You ever notice that you're just breathing from like up here? In fact, a funny story, I used to be in a very stressful job. And at one point I was working in this cubicle and this lady was working across from me and I'm sitting there, breathing, trying to relax. And she looks over at me like, what are you doing in there? So you maybe don't want to do it in public, But anyway, it's important to even be aware of it. Eckhart Tolle says, one time someone asked him, what is the best workshop for me to take to improve myself and to become like you, to realize, this peace inside and everything? And he said, not a single workshop. He said, rather than all the workshops in the world, if you spend 10 minutes a day just being aware of your breath in silence, that is better than all the workshops and self-improvement classes you can take. And so that's why this is so important to do the breathing. Another aspect of breath is, how many of us have toxins in our body? Right? Okay. So our world is full of toxins, and I recently, or a few years ago, moved from Chicago. So if you want a lot of toxins, in a big city like that, all the pollution and people, but Hamid Bey says that the air that we breathe purges those toxins out of our system. So if you're toxic, if you find yourself being toxic, then maybe work on doing more breathing exercises, deeper breathing exercises, and that the air, in bringing the oxygen through our blood to our organs and everything, it's actually cleansing everything out. So these toxins, are removed from the breath. So if you do find yourself getting toxic, this is one aspect. Of course, there's other aspects, of course, the physical aspect and the emotional aspect of holding on to things. But one major one is the breath. So if you do find yourself being toxic or feeling toxic, just sit down and try to take a few breaths. Another aspect of breath where when I was really young, I learned it. I actually learned it when I was just a kid. I'd be mad at my sister. You all know my sister Linda, and my mother would come along and put her hand on my head, and I'd be like, let me at her, and she would, and my mother would say, okay, take 10 deep breaths, And no way am I taking 10 deep breaths. I'm too mad to breathe. What do you do when you get mad, right? You stop breathing again. So, but as I found when I did finally take the 10 deep breaths after, a lot of persuasion, after the 10 breaths, you weren't mad anymore. It's like, okay, I'm done. Time to move on. I don't feel mad anymore. If you think about it, and we do have a tendency to hold on to things, right? If you look at like two ducks fighting or two dogs fighting over a bone or something, they'll fight to the death over that bone, right? But then 10 seconds later, they're out in the yard chasing each other, playing around again, right? They don't hold on to things. They're breathing, they're doing all that stuff. So breath is such a great way, a great release of the things that we have and the stress in our body. And again, we all know this, we all know this, but it's just really good to be reminded of this, that, that when we go home from here, to do that. Another thing which I think is appropriate with Thanksgiving coming up is that after you eat a lot of food, you notice how you get sluggish? You go into that, like in a couple of days, you'll go into that turkey coma, and you'll just lay in there. Well, part of the reason that you get tired is because, your blood is going to your stomach to work the digestion, and digestion uses a lot of oxygen. So to continue to breathe and do a lot of breathe work around that turkey meal will help your body to more properly digest the food. And not only that, you'll relax. And we all know that when we're relaxed, our digestive system can work better than when we're stressed, when everything tightens up, right? So that's another aspect of that when you're eating, to, just to think about your breath and be aware of your breath when you're eating, as you're eating, to just be aware of that. Another aspect to think about is when you work out, right? Some of us maybe go to the gym, we work out, we want to stay in good shape and stuff like that. And so we'll work out. And so the first time you work out, you maybe just lift a few pounds, But after a couple of weeks, you're able to lift more and more weight. So it's the same with our lungs. Our lungs just don't breathe themselves. There are muscles in there that pull down on the diaphragm to suck the air in, and then push up on the diaphragm to blow the air out. So these muscles, like anything, if you just spend your whole life just, surface breathing, these muscles atrophy just like anything else in our bodies. When I was younger, I used to be able to pick up a refrigerator and move it and stuff. And could I do that now? Probably not, or if I did, I wouldn't be able to get out of bed the next day, right? But the breath, so in doing the breath, it's important to do breathing exercises also. So tonight we're going to work at, we're going to do, which probably all of you know, but it's great to do it anyway. It's the alternate nostril and the cobra breath. But to do breathing exercises daily, like the fire breath, the fire breath you can do through your nose or through your mouth, which is, because what are you doing? Working those muscles down here, pushing up. And you might even be a little sore the first day you do that, but if you are sore, that means you really need to do it more. But then when those muscles are stronger, so like say you're working out and then you got to go move that refrigerator, it's pretty easy. Whereas if you don't do the exercise, when you do need to breathe, it's very difficult for you to breathe. So just doing those kind of exercises, you will naturally find that the muscles are working better and you're taking deeper breaths naturally. So I believe it's very important that not only we exercise our physical muscles out here, but we also exercise these muscles in here to keep that working. So beyond the breath, Hamid Bey teaches us that there's more to breath than just oxygen. There's more to breath than we can measure. Hamid Bey believes that there's prana in the breath. So in the breathing, we're actually taking in, he calls it intelligence, which I thought is an interesting thought. So maybe that means if you breathe a lot, you'll get smarter. How about it? So the breath is what connects the physical and the invisible. It's that part that connects us. There's more to it than just the oxygen that's in the air. that we're taking that prana, which is so not only is it cleansing our bloodstream and our physical organs, it's cleansing our energetic body and our etheric body, the nervous system and all that. And so it's really important, even from a spiritual aspect, that we breathe. I mean, think about any meditation that you ever do is about breathing, right? Pay attention to your breath. Take 5 deep breaths before you start. And yet, so we do it when we meditate, but how come we don't do it when we're at work? How come we don't do it when we get in that fight with our friend or partner or sibling or whatever? We don't do that. So it's important that we think about that. And something interesting, I was reading an article recently, and whether it's true or not, I don't know that it really matters that much, but they were saying that this particular person believes that there is less oxygen in the air today that we breathe than there was several hundred years ago. Mm. So whatever the cause would be, whether it's gases or carbon monoxide or whatever, so this person's theory was that because we're taking in less oxygen normally, that we become more tense, we're a more tense society, and also that we're sicker. And another example of this would be like how many have heard of the hyperbaric oxygen chambers, where, you're sick and you go into this and it'll help you to heal. I know they do it for patients with Lyme disease, when antibiotics can't work and the oxygen helps your body to fight off naturally. So think about that. So just breathing more, you're bringing more oxygen into your body and you're giving your body that chance to heal, to become more healthy. How many people think about that? We take essential oils, we take supplements, we take this, we eat good food, but how many people take good air into their lungs? Okay. All right, good. Yeah, so it's really important to do this. So when we think about this, when we're breathing, we can breathe through our nostrils, right, through either side. And so Hamid Bey talks about that. We breathe an hour through one nostril and then an hour through the other nostril. So these nostrils, and when we do this, that we have on either side of our spine, the Ida and Pingala, something like that. At least I got the general letters right. So here's my artistic rendition of a person. A happy person, see? And we'll open their mouths so they're getting extra oxygen. Okay, now it looks like a pumpkin. Okay, so through the middle of our body, on either side of the middle, we have these 2 energetic channels that flow through our body. And the left side is called Ida, and the right side is the Pingala. And so this is going to be your feminine. The left side is the feminine, and the right side is the masculine. And so there's different views of how this actually works. Some of the believe that it goes, they swirl back and forth like the symbol of the medical symbol. And some say that it's just straight. But I think for purposes of what we're doing, it's good just to imagine it's straight, because it's a lot easier than thinking, okay, where's it going, which side's it on now, and all this. So if you just think about it on either side, so the right side, it's the physical side. This is the masculine side. It's red, it's hot, it's stimulating, vital power, and it represents the sun. The left side, the Ida, is negative, and it represents the mental. It's white, it's cold, it's feminine, it's nurturing, it's consciousness, and it represents the moon. So now, when we're living our life, our normal life, right, we have the balance, and the symbol of the yin and the yang is the balance between the masculine and the feminine, right, which everything is all about. And I'm not talking about a guy or a woman. I'm talking about masculine energy, which, as I described, is the stimulating, vital, motivating power. And then the feminine energy, which is the receptive, nurturing type energy. So in our normal lives, these energies are flowing, but I have daddy issues. So my masculine side might be a little bit compressed, or my feminine side might be a little compressed. So what happens is our energy field, a normal energy field might be, normal and nice and even, but our energy field will go like this, and these markers are not that good. But your energy might actually be like that because one side is so compressed over the other side. And how you'll know this is one leg longer than the other? Is one hip higher than the other? So it's probably for women, Hamid Bey was saying you would look at your hips. Is one hip higher than the other, or one compressed than the other? Or if you lay down and you kind of stretch out and somebody looks at your feet, is one foot longer than the other? And if that is, you're going around life like this. And so what do you think is going to happen to your body? Your spine, your nerves are getting twisted and everything. And so it's going to cause illness. It's going to cause soreness in the back, and it's going to cause illness in the body because the energy cannot flow properly to all of your organs. So this is another aspect of why this balance is so important, that, when you're like this. So one way to work on this is the alternate nostril breathing, which we all know. And, I started researching this, a few weeks ago or so. And I always thought the alternate nostril breathing was like, oh, what a pain, we got it, they tell me to do it. So I'll do it for a couple of breaths. Okay, I'm done. But really what happens, and, Janice and Jim Campbell said when they went to the ashram, they had them doing this for 45 minutes every morning before breakfast with alternate nostril breathing. And so what happens when you do the alternate nostril breathing, you're clearing these channels on either side. So when both of the channels become cleared, then you're ready for the Kundalini to rise up the central channel. These, Shishama, thank you, yeah. So the energy can't come up here, and when that happens is when you realize, inspirational moments of either, some form of enlightenment, an inspiration to something that a question you've been having, but it can't come up the middle until you're balanced. So it's actually a multifold process. The first process is, work on your stuff, right? That's always the fun part. And then the second part of the process is to breathe and to exercise your body and muscles and everything to keep the physical part. Because remember, we are a multifaceted being. Even science would want you to believe that we're not, that we're just a physical body. But we have a physical, a mental, emotional, and a spiritual aspect to ourselves. And so it's important to address each of these aspects. And just an interesting saying that I just really love is God is on the other side of your emotions. God is on the other side of your emotions. So if you want to find whatever that is or whatever that means to you, you have to go through your emotions. You have to walk through that valley of darkness and be with those emotions and let them flow. All right. So the image I like about the emotions is to say an emotion, a negative thought. Say we go through life and we have a trauma in our life. We get dumped by our loved one, right? Ooh, that's nasty, right? That's a good one. Well, what happens is, it's a good learning tool, let's say, right? We're being optimistic here today. And, but even though if you ask someone who'd go through a divorce right now, if that's a learning tool, they would be like, no stinking way, right? But, so what happens is this thoughts are things, these thoughts are real energy. They're electrical currents going in your head and everything. So these thoughts form an energetic cluster within your body. And it's foreign to your body and it's preventing the flow of energy, right? Who knows when you get upset about something, how your digestive maybe doesn't work. Some people might have to be running to the bathroom every 5 minutes. Some people don't go to the bathroom for a week and a half after they're upset. How it upsets your system. So this thought is sitting there inside your energetic field, and your body doesn't like it. It's a foreign idea to our body. It's foreign to us. So what does the body do? It builds a cocoon around it. Like if you get a sliver and you don't fix it, what happens? you don't pull it out, your body forms a little callus around it because it's saying, I got to protect myself from this foreign object in my body. Likewise, our negative thoughts are a foreign object that are in our body. And so it forms this cocoon. So if if you have a heart thing, it forms this cocoon right here around it. And that it basically becomes toxic. So this is why often if you do go through a healing crisis might be that this cocoon breaks open and you're exposed to these toxins. And what happens? You get flu-like symptoms, because your body's trying to purge the stuff out. It's going, all this foreign stuff is inside me because it's built up all these years. We've spent our whole lives building these things up. And so what will happen is these little things that will just leak toxins into your body from day to day. But then something comes along to trigger it, right? Maybe it's a smell, maybe it's a song that's played on the radio, and it just rips that thing open and you just go crazy, right? You get mad. You don't know why, but all you know is I'm getting mad at this person in front of me. I don't know why I'm getting mad at them, but it's because something triggered that emotion. So this is why, it's important also in the breathing to do all these different aspects. So when we are breathing, we are in a more peaceful state, so we can address these things, right? If you're in your normal high stress level of day and one of these toxins opens up, it's like sticking your finger in an electrical outlet, right? We've all had traumatic experiences in our lives that we would rather forget, right? And when you think about them, what happens? Your body tightens up, right? Doesn't it? Think about maybe something in high school, you said something really stupid when peer pressure is so important, and all your friends shunned you and laughed at you. You still think about it. What happens? You tighten up because it's still there. So when we do the breath and when we come into that peaceful place and of balance that the breath brings, then it's not like as bad as sticking your finger in the electrical outlet. It's more like something that is more doable, more achievable, or more realizable, and just getting off on a little tangent here, but, like I've said before, how do we heal that? And we heal that stuff by viewing the situation from a different point of view. By viewing the situation from a different point of view. So now suddenly, the boss, that's the biggest pain in the butt, makes you just stressed out to the max every day at work. It's not this mean old ogre coming to pick on you. The boss might suddenly become this person that's hurt inside, that's just screaming out for attention and love. Do you see how the difference, how the state change? Suddenly now you're not being attacked by this big old ogre. You're there to nurture and love this person that is screaming out for attention. It's just the only way they know how to scream out for attention is through screaming and violence, right? So that's how they are. So now we've just changed our perception and we've healed this aspect of ourselves. But we have to see it first. We have to know it's there. Because 99% of this stuff we have going on in ourselves and we don't even know it's there. In fact, a good way to tell if you have anything inside of yourself like that is if you tell yourself, oh, I don't have anything like that. I don't need to work on anything. That's when you know you got a lot to work on. So anyway, another really interesting aspect, a really cool analogy that Hamid Bey made about the two sides was that the crucifixion, there was the two thieves, remember? Mm-hmm. The thieves come to steal our divinity away from us. One thief is the thought, and the other thief is the sensation, the feeling. These are the two aspects of our body that we have that each one of these represents. So in the crucifixion, Jesus was overcoming the mental and the sensual part of his body that were keeping him from his divinity. It's just a really fascinating thought when you think about, I've always wondered what the symbolism of the two extra guys, I just thought, okay, they just happen to be two people there getting crucified at the same time. But no, there was symbolism in that. And the symbolism is that. I at one point or a couple points in my life, I had a near-death experience, and it was so beautiful to be separated from the thought and the physical sensations, because then it's free. And so this is what we're attempting to do in our breath work and in our meditations, and we do and very easily can achieve this, where we can step outside of that moment of that thinking monkey that just never shuts up. How about it? You wake up in the middle of the night, it's like, oh, yeah, shut up already, I'm trying to sleep, in there. and so through this, we can become balanced, and then we can learn to overcome all these things. Like Eckhart Tolle, I really like him, and he says, I love chocolate. He goes, it's one of my favorite things, but if I never had chocolate again, it would be okay. He says, I love sex, but if I never had sex again, it would be okay. That one I'm still working on. The chocolate, okay, but, so. But, so that he has overcome his desire, his physical desires. He's overcome the two thieves of sensuality and the mind, that and found that divinity and that peace within. So, let's see, we talked about that. Another interesting thing that they've recently found out is that when we breathe or when we meditate, we should open our mouths. So Hamid Bey called it spiritual breathing. He said to do spiritual breathing, you breathe through your mouth. And but now they found out that when you breathe through your mouth, that it's relaxing and affecting both your sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. So you're basically getting the whole thing in breathing through there. Another thing that they've found out is that the back of the tongue is connected to the vagus nerve, which is one that goes throughout your whole body. So when you relax your tongue, we all know meditations say, let your jaw relax, let your tongue relax. But they're not just saying it for their health. It's an important thing to relax your tongue. Then you're sending those impulses through that nerve, which comes down and all over and everywhere it goes. You're going to be able to relax your whole body. And through breathing through your mouth, like we do with the cobra breath, you're relaxing your both nervous systems, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous systems. So science is proving today what Hamid Bey was teaching 80 years ago, that the spiritual breathing comes through the mouth. And so many other people did too with that. So it's really great that, that the science is catching up with what people have known for a long, long time. So that's basically, a conceptual part of why the breathing is so important. Why it's so important to be aware of it. And it doesn't take long. We drive to work, right? When you're just sitting driving, just be aware of your breath. You don't have to breathe. Well, I took a bigger breath there, but just be aware of it. You don't have to even take extra breaths. You just have to bring your attention to it, because in doing that, you're bringing your attention into the energetic side. You're stepping outside of this world of the mental and the sensual, the world of the body, in focusing on the breath. So there's so much there to it in terms of every aspect of your growth and spirituality and relaxing, that the breathing is so important. Okay, so at that point, we'll take a break if there's any questions or comments. Anybody want to?
So it's like if you're snoring at night and your mouth is open, then like, okay?
Well, actually, in a way, yes. Because, if you ever notice, even if you're not snoring, when you breathe more like, right? We breathe a little bit louder. That's not unlike the cobra breath, right? When you sleep, you're recharging your body and you're breathing like, or it might be, it's more faster than that, and so I don't know necessarily that snoring is a great thing, at least not especially for your partner, or for you sometimes. I sometimes wake myself up when I'm snoring, but I don't know that it's exactly that same thing. Yeah.
So when it's not parasympathetic, sympathetic, so your sympathetic nervous system is relaxed through the breathing, not your parasympathetic. So if you're sympathetic and your sympathetic is then relaxed on the blow out only. So if you're to breathe in, let's say you're going to do a 6-second in, you should do an 8 to a 12-second out. That's when your sympathetic system engages into it, and then you should be going back. And the other way to then mentally onto it, your breathing, isn't to even with your driving. Also, is just to concentrate on your driving. That also puts your breath into it, and then to exercise. Because if your exercise isn't off, your breath will be off. And they're very close together, close together. And your vagus nerve, I think, goes off your diet, not so much your breath. Because I'm paralyzed on all my limbs. So I have to control my body to this day.
But if you relax, the idea would be if you relax your tongue, that you're connecting to that nerve to relax the other parts of your body, not so much the breath.
No, I think that puts into a different part of your brain too. When you put into the tongue, it goes into the front. Because I think that they're two separate things. So my vagus nerve will go into it. I think that's more of where you get your prebiotics and your probiotics. That's where inflamed, because I think that sometimes you can have different parts of anxiety comes up from too much sugar, and your sugar is going to kill your gut bacteria. And with your gut bacteria gets out, so my example, I'm paralyzed on all my limbs. So down my ulnars, down my sciaticas, and here's the computer that helps me walk. So when you get going into that, the battery's coming out because it's been shut off. But it's the sugar that goes in through the inflammation that really starts to shut off your brain and the sensors to your nervous system, including with the brain. But I think that sometimes one isn't given credit for the other. But the breathing, just a basic calm down, is an exterior out, push out.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm hoping I take it the wrong way. So.
No, that's good. It's good. Appreciate it. Yeah. Good. Any other questions? Okay. So if oh yeah, sure.
Are you going to demonstrate and help us do some of these, or?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Good leading. For that, Kat, you want to come up? So probably you all know this, but I think it's really good to demonstrate. Oh, wait. So Hamid Bey suggests or says that we should have a wool blanket that is on the floor under our feet and then covers us. And the reason being is because we don't want any other energies coming into our body. So when we're meditating and stuff, our bodies are, designed for a certain type of energy and thinking and such. So we don't really want to bring energy into our bodies or up from the earth into our bodies, because that energy, our bodies are not designed for that. It's okay to go up consciously up there and to experience that level of consciousness, or down and experience those level of consciousness, but that's not there for the body. So we put this wool blanket here, and this protects us from those energies. Yeah.
If you don't have a wool blanket, I don't know. Could you try just like a carpeted floor? Is that the same concept?
If it's wool, I guess, why not?
Well, what if it's not wool, if you don't, or can you wool socks?
Yeah.
So I mean, is it like any type of organic mat material? Could you do it like, let's say, like a wooden mat or a bamboo mat? Is there a difference? That's all I'm asking.
I don't know. Does anybody else have an opinion? I've heard silk could work. I've heard silk can work, some kind of natural thing, but the idea is you want to contain the energies in your body. So you don't want things flowing in or out of your body when you're doing this exercise. Okay, so we can hand these out. There. You want to pass those around and that should be good.
Sorry.
And we can just walk through these. So the first, so what we want, here, I'll take those, good. What we want to do is, first we're going to do the alternate nostril breathing, because remember, the alternate nostril breathing is bringing our body into balance, and yeah.
Is it true that I have to have my legs crossed to do that one?
Yes, I was just going to get there,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Good lead-in, no, thank you. I'll pay you later for the lead-in there, thank you. Keep me honest. So we want to cross our legs. And this, again, we're keeping the energies in our body. And this used to be a little foreign to me personally when I learned this, because, we always thought when you're meditating, you want, light to flow in and earth to ground us and all this stuff. This is not the way that these type of exercises work. These exercises are here to maintain the energy within our body. And we still do realize a tremendous energy surge and such in our bodies, but it just comes from a different dimension or different way. So then the inhalations and exhalations. Oh, and let me just mention here, where did it go? Oh, here it is. So Hamid Bey wrote a lot of stuff on this, but there's also, and he brought these lessons from Egypt, and it's called the Cobra breath and all. But these things, there's also other disciplines in the world study very similar type breathing techniques. So there's a really good book called Kriya's Secrets Revealed. This is about the Kriya breath, which is similar to the Cobra breath. And so if you're like a geeky person like me, that you like to research and learn many different aspects about this. And so this guy, it's by J.C. Stevens. It's on Amazon. You can get it. And it just is more information than you could ever want to know about this stuff, about how to do it and different things. Because like in the Hindu religion or philosophy, in the Hindu philosophy, there was different aspects and there was a different way to do it for every single person. Now, Hamid Bey just taught one way, so that's what we're going to teach today. But, so I always think it's interesting to delve in, learn a little bit more about this stuff. And this book has a lot of great other exercises and things, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody. It's a really unique book. Okay, so back to this. So we have our Ida on the left, and that's, again, it's the feminine, it's the negative, it's the cooling. And again, if your body is warm, if you're really warm and you can breathe through one side of your nostril and you breathe through the left side, it will cool your body down. If you're really cold, you can breathe through the other side of your nostril and it will warm your body. So try that. See how that works. If you maybe some people get warm when they sleep. I get cold when I sleep. If you get warm, try it sometime. Okay, so you're going to sit comfortable, cross your ankles. Hamid Bey says you want to do the right over the left. You want to relax your hands in your lap. And your hands should be touching. He says right on top of left, but whatever. And then your right hand is going to come up, and again, Hamid Bey says to use your thumb on your right side, and you're just going to close your nostril, and then for the left side you're going to use your little finger. Now, other disciplines say you would use this finger. So I would recommend try it both ways. Some would say you use the ring finger this way and like this. So I would recommend just try it different ways and see what works for you, because they are connected to different meridians in your body. And so there could be a different effect. And as with anything, we all have a different system. I mean, it's all the same system, but there's different things that are bothering us or not bothering us. And so one might be better for me and another might be better for you. But anyway, just to say, like what Hamid Bey taught was the little finger. So then you take a big breath with both nostrils, then you close off the right nostril like that. And then slowly exhale through your left nostril. And then slowly inhale through your left nostril. And then close your left nostril with your little finger, and then exhale through the right. Then you inhale through the right. And exhale through the left. Then inhale through the left. And then the right, and then you would just keep doing that. And as you're doing that, when you're inhaling on the left side, you will just bring your attention up your spine, over the top into your third eye. When you exhale, bring your attention down that side that you're exhaling. So you're clearing these channels. You're balancing your body, clearing these channels so that the energy can rise up through the middle channel, to your third eye to bring you peace and wisdom and knowledge and all that fun stuff. So just go ahead and do it for a few minutes. Go ahead and work on it. You might notice that one side's a little bit tougher to breathe through than the other. And that's why this is good, because if one side is a little bit more plugged, you're probably going to breathe on the other side, and that's going to bring you out of balance again too. So in doing this, it brings your body into balance. Seeing as you inhale. Yeah.
Kind of an odd question. Can you cross your hands if you're doing it to get a different, and cross your ankles? So if you would do the energy,
Well,
cross your hands.
he didn't recommend it. You're crossing the ankles to stop the flow underneath you. That's why the wool and stuff. If you want, I'd say try it.
So this is just so my understanding, this is to build energy in you, not to take energy from around you.
Right. It's to balance the energy that's within you right now.
I understand.
Yeah. And I believe you do get more energy when you do this, but you're not consciously bringing it in. It just naturally will flow in. Your body knows how to do this stuff, so it will just naturally come in. Another aspect, Hamid Bey says, when you're doing this, you want to breathe very slowly, so as if there's a feather on your nose, it would move. Now that's pretty slow. And other disciplines say just breathe normally. Don't do big breaths. Don't do just normal as you would breathe. Okay, we got that. Everybody got that down? Okay, so now let's flip the page over. And we're going to do the cobra breath. A couple things about the cobra breath is, he says, never do this more than 14 times in a sitting. But you would want to do it maybe in the morning and do it in the evening, so to balance yourself to start your day, and then to relax you and bring you into balance before you go to sleep. You should never do this when you're under the influence of alcohol or any type of recreational drug, especially now it's legal in Michigan, right? So you don't want to do it then. For women, you should never do it during your menstrual cycle. Not sure why, but he says that. And then also, you never want to do it on a full stomach. And again, because, everything's coming down into the stomach to digest there. So you want to do this when you're on a slightly empty stomach or you haven't eaten in a couple hours. And you really don't want to do it if you're sick or anything like that, But like anything, be very aware when you're doing this, the effects, and see what works best for you. This finger works good or this finger works good. Okay, so that's for that. And so now let's jump over to the cobra breath. Now, how many people know the cobra breath very well? Okay, so let's walk through it. So, first of all, when you inhale, before you start, you're going to look up at the point between your eyebrows. So you're going to look up there, and you don't have to do that just yet, but there's a couple parts to it. So for inhale, you want to put the tongue to the back of your mouth as far as you can, and you want to make like a sound. So you want to And my tongue doesn't go that far back, but I know people that they can actually block the air with their tongue, and then it'll have to force around their tongue to get down. So you want to just inhale and go. Okay. So now while you're inhaling, you're a little bit like Darth Vader, right? So while you're inhaling, you want to see up the center, you want to see cool, you want to feel cool, or the element of water coming up your spine, up and into your third eye. Okay? So you're going, okay. And you want to bring that cool air up into your brain.
While you're looking up.
While you're looking up. All at the same time. So you're looking up, but your attention is doing this.
It's easy if you close your eyes and look up.
Yeah. Okay. And then after you do that on the exhale, you make like an E sound, like. Now on this one, Master Stanley and Hamid Bey taught it a little differently. I think Master Stanley taught it that you touch the back of your teeth, right? Was that, John?
That's right.
And you go, and to me, when I do the E sound, my tongue just naturally goes to touch the back of my bottom teeth. Almost like a snake sound. And then, no, not a vampire, a snake. And then it's very important when you're doing the exhale now to feel warm air, this the element of fire, coming up over the top of your head and out the outside, like a little tube on the outside of your back, bringing that warm air down to your bottom, to your coccyx or area or whatever.
That white light.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I'm not sure, but my theory on that is that when we think so much, our brains get really warm because we're busy thinking. So we want to cool them down, almost like a radiator on a car. We're taking the hot stuff out and we're bringing the cool stuff in. Because I notice if I'm balanced, my brain feels cooler. If there is such a feeling, my brain feels cooler when I'm very balanced and relaxed. But when I'm busy thinking and stuff, I get warm. I feel really warm up here. And so you're bringing the cool up so you're like being a radiator on your car. You're bringing the cool water into the engine and you're taking the hot water out of the engine. Or like an air conditioner, it does the same thing. Brings the cool into the room. Yeah. So it's like all right, does everybody got it? Okay, so maybe we could, John, could you just shut out the lights?
Yes.
Let's see how dark that is. Yeah, I think, oops, maybe leave that last one on.
We might fall asleep.
There. Yeah, that's enough. So now let's all just kind of relax. Take a few deep breaths. That's what we're here about, the breath, right? Take a few deep breaths. And then we're going to do the alternate nostril breathing and the cobra together. Okay, and I'll kind of walk you through it again because I know it can be a little complicated. So let's just relax. Our legs are crossed on the floor. If you did, we don't have it obviously here, but if you have a wool blanket or like you said, silk or something, you can put that under your feet and your body like this. And one other thing I would mention is the preferred way to do this would be to sit in a full lotus position on the floor. But since most Americans can't do that, myself included, Hamid Bey moved it into the chair so that he kind of Americanized it a little bit. You could either do a full lotus or a half lotus if you could. And then that's crossing the legs, like Linda is doing. Or, but just sitting in the chair is okay. But you also want to keep your spine straight. So there's 3 aspects of keeping the spine straight. 1, swivel your hips forward a little bit. Okay, kind of pushing your stomach out. Shoulders back. You know, I know when Tom Hartman taught this, he actually gave people like little sticks to put behind your arms like this, so your shoulders had to be back. I find you can tell if your shoulders are back far enough if you can't put your hands like this in front of you. They want to go like this because your arms are back on your lap. And then the third one is to bring your chin down. And this is not just plow your chin into your chest. Think of it more like if there's a cord pulling on your spine, pulling you up. What's going to happen? Your chin doesn't go like this. Your chin's going to go like this. It's going to come more in rather than down. So see that cord pulling your spine. And it's very important to keep the spine straight through this. Okay? So ready to go? If everybody just want to relax, take a deep breath. And then another deep breath, and then plug your right nostril out the left. Then plug your left. Oh, inhale through your left, I'm sorry. Then plug it, then gently out through the right. And inhale through the right. And block it. And exhale through the left. Seeing the image, bringing your attention up when you're inhaling on that side and down when you're exhaling on each side. And just go ahead and do that for a few minutes. And then go ahead and finish off this cycle. Put your hands in your lap when you're ready, when you're done. Floating in the peace. Being aware of your breath. And now we'll move to the cobra breath. And so the tongue goes back in the mouth. You inhale with a feeling the cool coming up your spine. Your eyes are looking up. And then exhale, feeling the warmth coming over the top of your head and down the back of your spine. Inhale up. Exhale. Bringing that warm energy down. Spine straight, shoulders back. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale up. Cool coming up. warmth down. Inhale up, cool coming up. Up to the third eye, and then exhale down. Inhale up. And exhale down. Inhale up, cool air coming up to the third eye. Exhale, warmth down. Keeping the attention, your eyes pointing up. Inhale. Feeling that cool water flowing up into your brain. Exhale down, warmth. Inhale up, cool up. Exhale, warm down. Inhale up, cool coming up into the third eye. Exhale, warm down. Inhale, cool up. Exhale down. Inhale up. Exhale, warm down. Inhale up. Exhale down. And now just stop. Breathe normal and just allow yourself to be floating in that nothingness. If a thought comes into your mind, you can always just do another cobra breath to bring yourself back into the place. Take just a moment to drift in this beautiful place of peace. And then slowly come back into your body, wiggling your fingers. Feel your legs. Take a deep breath. And open your eyes when you're ready. Back in the room, wide awake, feeling wonderful. How was it? Great. Feel the difference, how you feel now? So Hamid Bey says that every time you do 14 breaths, you realize one spiritual year of evolution. So think about that. That's pretty cool, I thought. Yeah. So it's bringing you into that beautiful, peaceful place. You know, if you do this every morning, it just makes your day go so much better because you're starting out in such a beautiful place that it's really worth it. So just kind of as takeaways, your breath is the single most important thing that you can do to be aware of your breath, to do the breathing exercises, to maintain a healthy body. There's, of course, the other things of diet and meditation and exercise, but the breath is something you can do when you're driving, you're waiting in line at the grocery store. I wouldn't recommend the Darth Vader
I
breath
don't
at
think
that point. But you can just pay attention to your breath. You want to exercise your lungs daily with some type of exercise. We maybe don't want to do jogging, but think about a person who jogs. What are they doing? They're exercising their lungs. I'm not a jogger, so I like the fire breath or something like that. You want to exercise these muscles here, and you'll find you're so much more relaxed when you do that, because these muscles, then it becomes easier to breathe in and breathe out from day to day, and they don't get tired.
Does everybody know what the fire breath is?
No, not everybody.
Okay, well, the fire breath is kind of like the little Maz method when you do it through your mouth. When you go, but you can do it through your nose. And you're pushing out a little bit more than you're taking in. And that's exercising these muscles right here. So it's good to do that for 5 or 10 minutes every morning. Well, yeah, and I won't go into that whole thing now. We could do that another time, but just to do the fire breath is important. There's a whole other exercise with it I could come back and do sometime, but just to do that exercise, to exercise with your lungs. And also, remember to do your work. Work on healing your emotional stuff that's going on. If something's bothering you, don't look at it and say, "Oh, would you believe what they did to me?" Look at it and say, how, and not in a judgmental way, but look at it in a way and say, how can I change my perception so that this doesn't control my life? It's a big difference. Then you're switching from the victim to the hero. You're switching from someone who can take control of their lives and be in that place of peace, and they're not a candle in the wind that blows around every time somebody says something to you. So turn it around. Let that victim self go. Come inside, take those breaths, and just say, what am I misperceiving in this situation that is causing me this angst? And then, as I said, pay attention to your diet. We talked about sugar. Thank you for bringing that up, by the way. I'll start that as soon as I finish off the Halloween candy. Just kidding.
The other one that really is, that messes with my whole system, antibiotics.
Mm.
So what I mean by an antibiotic is if the animal has eaten,
All right.
consumed the eggs, buttermilk. So if it's consumed antibiotics, I immediately, within the next 2 days, I struggle to walk
Yeah.
in the morning.
Really?
Absolutely. I'm very sensitive in a way that most people aren't.
Yeah.
Very sensitive.
And then on the table out in the meet and greet room, there's this particular talk came from the Lectures of Hamid Bey, lesson 333, interesting number. And it's just fascinating read. There's just so much information in it. We have the CDs, which have the Lectures of Hamid Bey on there for $25 on the table if you don't have one yet. I highly recommend it. That's just one. There's 345 lessons in there of just amazing information for you. Wow. So that's out there. We also have some of Linda, our most excellent musician. She has her first CD, right? Second CD, okay. And I've got it and listened to it. It's beautiful. It's very inspiring. So I would recommend that to you. And then we have some CDs of shaman breath workshop that I do here occasionally. I know some of you have been to it, right? And Rose, you've been to it, you liked it. And so I have it on CD. I have two of them. The first one is more of an Aborigine one. The second one is Hispanic music. They're prayers to the earth. And you do breathing throughout that. Pete, you have it too, right? You love it. And so that's a good thing to do. It takes about an hour, on a Saturday morning or something when you've got a few extra minutes. To just sit down, put on the headphones, turn it up really loud, and just get into it. And that really works the lungs. And by the time you're done with doing that, you always go in with an intent. Every time anybody has ever done that, they get the answer to their intent when you do that breathing. I mean, I right, wouldn't you say? I've never known anybody do that. So those are out there for 15, and then we have the usual comfrey salve if anybody's interested in some of that. That's great stuff. So anyway, I'd like to close. I'd like to wish you a long, healthy, and happy life. Thank you for coming today.